Hi, Haley here. Today we're going to talk about decreases. If you've watched my video already on increasing, the make when increases, you will know that there are different types of make when increases, that they are directional. There are some that lean left, and there are some that lean right, and the same is true of decreases. Just as with the different directions of make when increases, the different directions in decreases are used to achieve a particular look in your fabric. Now sometimes that can be used with, say, like raglan shoulder shaping, side shaping on your piece, or even as far as lace work goes. Different decreases are used to shape the piece the way the designer wants it to be. So we're going to pretend that this is a sleeve. I have increased. It is a very small sleeve. It is for a teddy bear, perhaps. And now I am going to be decreasing. Number one, do not, if you can at all avoid it, and you are going to be seaming a piece together, do not decrease on an edge. It does not make for a good looking seam, it makes for a bulky seam, and it is a difficult seam to make adjustments on when you are seaming your pieces together. I'm going to show you first an example of full fashion shaping, which means that you see the decreases. They're meant to be a decorative element. You see this a lot on raglan shaping. So on my right edge, I am going to do a slip-slip knit first of all. So I'm going to slip the first stitch knitwise, slip the second stitch knitwise, and then take my left needle and go into the front of those two stitches and knit them together. Show you again. Slip one knitwise, slip another one knitwise, go into the front and knit together. Let's do one more. Front, front, excuse me, slip, slip, and then the front. And you'll see how they're pointing toward the center here. Now I'm going to show you how to make a knit two together. So just as the slip, slip, knit pointed off to the left, the knit two together is going to point to the right. So I'm going to be pointing toward the center of my work. I go into two stitches, just as if I were going into one stitch, and then I knit those together. To knit a couple stitches. Going to go into the second stitch first, and knit them together. And that's the slip, slip, knit and the knit two together. So here I have done several rows of what we call full fashion shaping. I have maintained my edge stitches. I have two edge stitches on each side. Over here I have done slip, slip knits, and notice how they line up right there. And then over here I have done knit two togethers. See how they line up right there. So that is a really great type of shaping to use for, say, raglans, because it forms a nice decorative line up each side. Just one option for mirroring your decreases. Sometimes, though, you will need to perform your decreases or execute your decreases on the back side of your fabric. So, there are purl side versions of these as well. The general rule of thumb is the edge where you have been doing your slip-slip knits, you will work what is sometimes called a slip-slip purl, it's also sometimes called a purl two together through the back loop. They're pretty much the same thing. On the edge where you've been doing the knit two together, you will work a purl two together on the back side. So to begin, I'm going to purl my first 2 stitches. And then the purl two together is just as it sounds. Sorry, that was my dog. And I'm going to purl those 2 together. I'll do a couple more stitches. And I'm going to purl them together. I'm going to get over to my edge. I want to put them in the same spot as before, so 2, 4, 6. I went too far. Okay. Now I need to work a slip-slip purl or purl 2 together through the back loop. So I'm going to keep my yarn in the front, and I'm going to slip 1 knitwise, slip another stitch knitwise, and then put my needle in the front. So far this looks a lot like a slip-slip knit, but the difference becomes I'm actually going to completely return those stitches to my left-hand needle, and then I'm going to come up around behind through the second stitch first, and purl them together. I'll work a couple more stitches. Okay. Slip 1 knitwise, slip another 1 knitwise, and return the stitches to the left needle. Come into the second stitch first, and then the first stitch, and purl 2 together. And there you have it. When you look at the side of the fabric, you'll see I've continued my line here, and I've continued my line here. So there's one last thing that I want to show you on decreasing. Down here, if you'll remember, I did the full fashion shaping. So I did knit 2 togethers over here and slip-slip knits over here. So with the full fashion shaping, my decreases slanted away from my edges. Up here, I switched and I did a few rows of invisible shaping, meaning I slanted my decreases toward my edges. So you can see over here I did knit 2 togethers, and over here I did slip-slip knits. You can see that there is still a little bit of a line, but not as much as you get with full fashion shaping. Consequently, invisible shaping is often used for shaping on, say, the sides of sweaters, the undersides of sleeves, things like that, where you don't necessarily want a really visible line of decreases. Well, that's about it on decreasing. Thank you very much, and happy stitching!